3 days ago, Breanna Stewart went on her own podcast and told fans, and I quote, "I'm feeling better. I'm feeling like the owners are finally really acknowledging and being receptive to what we want." She said there's no need to panic. 72 hours later, Fenerbahce announced Breanna Stewart will fly to Turkey to play in the EuroLeague Final 6, a tournament that runs through April 19th. The same day WNBA training camp opens. The vice president of the WNBA Players Association, the woman supposed to be fighting for a new deal, just announced she's leaving the country to play for another team. While the WNBA season might not even happen.
I know, so Breanna Stewart is supposedly going to play from April 15th to April 19th. Now this is after the unrivaled season, but like they said here, training camp for the WNBA season begins on April 19th. So a lot of people were confused for many reasons. Firstly, they're confused because Breanna Stewart is a co-founder in Unrivaled, and the whole point of Unrivaled was to make it so players didn't have to go overseas during the off season, and now Breanna Stewart.
But here's what nobody's telling you. This isn't even the first time Stewart chose something else over the CBA. She already missed a critical bargaining meeting because she was playing in Unrivaled, the league she co-founded to stop players from going overseas. And now she's going overseas. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you what two NBA champions said behind the scenes that confirms the real reason this is falling apart. It's not what you think. If you've been following this disaster and feel like you're losing your mind, you're not. This channel delivers every update with actual receipts. Hit subscribe right now because this story is about to get a lot worse. To understand why Stewart's decision is so devastating, you need to hear what Adam Silver said 48 hours before she made it. Because what the commissioner just admitted publicly is something the league has been trying to hide for months. While the NBA was celebrating All-Star Weekend, Adam Silver stepped to the podium and dropped a bomb on the WNBA.
We're pushing the 11th hour, which is what I've been screaming from the rooftops for the past month, and I'm done saying it. It seems like every indication is that the season is going to start late. I would be shocked if it started on time. I truly would. But that's coming from Adam Silver. Like, there has been no movement in the CBA.
Silver said, word for word, "I think it's unfortunate where we find ourselves right now, both from the team's standpoint and from the players." He said they're awfully close to the 11th hour. Media insider Robin Lundberg flagged the real tell, saying, and I quote, "That's not messaging from somebody who's happy about this. Unfortunate. Urgency. 11th hour. That's not optimism. That's damage control." The commissioner is going on record now, so when this blows up, nobody can blame him. And the math doesn't lie. Training camp opens April 19th. Before that, finalize the CBA, memorialize it legally, conduct an expansion draft for Portland and Toronto, run free agency, and hold the WNBA draft April 13th. All in 2 months. And the two sides, still arguing over whether revenue sharing is calculated on gross or net. The players want 30%. The league hasn't offered above 15%. That's not a gap. That's a canyon. But here's where it gets insane. Because while Silver is begging for urgency, one podcaster is hearing whispers that a deal might be done this week. And when you compare his sources to the actual numbers, someone is lying. This story splits into two completely different realities. One podcaster went on record claiming the CBA is ready to go and much closer to what the league is saying. Listen to this.
And it is that the CBA is ready to go. It's ready to go. The players have their latest proposal, and their latest proposal, it's going to be one of those ones where basically it's the players are thinking, okay, this is it. This is pretty much it. This is our last proposal. If the league doesn't accept this, and that it's a proposal much closer to what the...
Sounds hopeful, right? But hope without evidence is just a rumor. Let's look at the league's actual offer. Revenue sharing, the players asked for 30% of gross. The league countered with net revenue, and their number still doesn't exceed 15%. That's an insult wrapped in a spreadsheet. Salary cap, bumped from $5.55 million to $5.65 million. A $100,000 increase for the entire roster. That's what they're calling progress. Housing. The league initially removed team housing completely. After backlash, they brought it back for minimum salary players only, through 2028. Everyone else, figure it out. So when someone says the deal is close to what? If closer to the league's terms means the players accepting 15% instead of 30%, they're not negotiating anymore. They're surrendering. And Stewart called this exciting. She said there's movement and traction, about a $100,000 cap bump and housing that only covers rookies. But what she did after saying that creates a pattern even her biggest supporters can't defend. And when you see it laid out with what two NBA champions publicly revealed, you'll understand what's really breaking down behind closed doors. What Breanna Stewart has done isn't one bad decision. It's a pattern. Step 1, she co-founds Unrivaled. The pitch? Players shouldn't have to leave the country to earn a living. Keep talent in America. Step 2, CBA negotiations stall. A critical meeting is scheduled. Stewart doesn't show. Why? Unrivaled obligations. The league she built to support players pulled her away from the negotiation that would determine their futures. Step 3, on her podcast, she says, there's no need to panic and calls the progress exciting. Step 4, 72 hours later, Fenerbahce announces she's flying to Turkey. Tournament runs through April 19th, training camp opens April 19th. Her own team, the Liberty, plays Indiana on April 26th.
Final. So Breanna Stewart is supposedly going to play from April 15th to April 19th. Now this is after the Unrivaled season, but like they said here, training camp for the WNBA season begins on April 19th. So a lot of people were confused for many reasons. Firstly, they're confused because Breanna Stewart is a co-founder in Unrivaled, and the whole point of Unrivaled was to make it so players didn't have to go overseas during the off season, and now Breanna Stewart is going overseas during the off season. Now, it's not for an entire season. Seems like she's only going to try to help them win a championship, but it is kind of like the whole premise of your business was so players didn't have to go overseas, and now you're going.
She co-founded a league to keep players home. Missed a CBA meeting to play in that league. Told fans not to panic. Then announced she's going overseas on the day training camp opens. The circle of contradiction is complete. And here's what makes it devastating for the average player. Stewart has unrivaled equity, Fenerbahce contracts, endorsement deals. She's fine either way. But a developmental player making $65,000 who just lost housing in the latest proposal? She doesn't have a Turkish escape plan. The person supposed to fight for her is packing for Istanbul. And while Stewart makes these moves, the Players Association responded to the league's latest proposal with, and I quote, "Roses are red, violets are blue, we love a proposal that values players too." And this situationship has gone on for too long. Valentine's Day memes. While Adam Silver says, 11th hour, and urgency, the Union posts breakup poetry. 75%.
Fuck this league, we're gonna burn it down. Like, whoever's running their social media, genuinely, I'm not gonna ever push for someone to, lose their source of income, but like, change their job title so that they're no longer in charge of that, because whoever's in charge of the WNBPA's Instagram is actually like the reason for 75% of the negativity around them.
That's the #1 podcaster puts on how much negativity around the union comes from their own social media. This isn't a social media problem. This is a leadership crisis. And the fans are done waiting for someone to fix it.
Starting to feel with the WNBA as well. And I think a lot of fans are with me on this. It's like, why should we care so much about the season starting on time or about actually having a 2026 season if it seems like the people at the table also don't care that much? And we can go back to that big meeting that they had when some of the biggest voices in the WNBPA didn't make it to that meeting. And Breanna Stewart was one of them. She had obligations in Unrivaled to play in Unrivaled fair enough, she can do whatever she wants, but to me, it seems like that was more important that day. Being in Unrivaled and playing for Unrivaled was more important than her being at the table and doing the negotiations with the WNBA owners and the WNBA committee. If the players don't care that much, why should we?
That is the sound of the WNBA losing its audience. Not to hate. Not to trolls. To indifference. And indifference is the one thing a growing league cannot survive. 2 years ago, the arrows were all pointing up. Viewership exploded. Attendance records broke. Caitlin Clark became the most marketable player in the sport. Unrivaled drew 21,490 fans to a single event in Philadelphia. This was supposed to be the golden era, and what did the people in charge do with that momentum? They weaponized it. Robin Lundberg said it perfectly, and I quote, "The generated momentum is being weaponized for better terms rather than being recognized in its pure form." Both sides are fighting over who holds the trophy while the building burns. For years, fans stopped watching the NBA All-Star Game because the players stopped caring first. That's exactly what's happening to the WNBA, except it's not one exhibition game. It's the entire league. When your vice president flies to Turkey instead of sitting at the table, the players don't care. When your union responds to a proposal with Valentine's Day memes, the players don't care. When your biggest stars say they have backup plans in Unrivaled, Project B, and overseas leagues, the WNBA is optional. And if it's optional for the players, it just became optional for the fans. Silver knows it. He said, and I quote, "We need to not lose momentum in terms of the amazing amount of progress we've seen in women's basketball." He didn't say build on momentum. He said not lose it. That's survival language. And during All-Star Weekend, the biggest platform in basketball, 0 WNBA players participated. Not the celebrity game. Not the Shooting Stars competition, which was originally designed to include WNBA players. They were erased. But somebody noticed. 2 of the most powerful player leaders in the NBA noticed. And what they said wasn't encouragement, it was an exposure of the real fracture inside this union. This is the moment I told you about at the beginning. And it changes everything. During All-Star Weekend, Chris Paul and Jaylen Brown were asked what advice they'd give WNBA players. These aren't random commentators. Paul is one of the most powerful player leaders in NBA history. Brown just won a championship. When they speak about labor negotiations, the basketball world listens. Chris Paul said, and I quote, "My biggest advice would be unity. As a committee, as players, it's so many different players who have so many different views. But any time you can find a way to be together, you're a lot stronger together. Unity. Not hold the line. Not demand more money. Unity. You only preach unity when you see fracture." Chris Paul just told the world the WNBPA is not on the same page. And it makes sense. Stewart has unrivaled equity and Fenerbahce money. A minimum salary player who just lost housing doesn't have that safety net. When the union demands 30% of gross, the stars benefit most. When the league offers housing for minimums only, the role players benefit most. These aren't aligned interests. They're competing ones. And Paul sees the crack. Then Jaylen Brown, 2 words, get what you deserve. Sounds empowering until you realize, deserve means something completely different to a franchise cornerstone than to a developmental player. And that gap is exactly where leverage dies. The 2 most powerful player leaders in the NBA talked about the players, not the owners, not the revenue. They diagnosed the problem: this union is fractured from the inside, and until they fix that, no amount of inflatable rats or Instagram poems will get them a deal. And the fans watching this circus? What they're saying right now is louder and more dangerous than anything Silver, Stewart, or the WNBPA has posted. Something is happening in the WNBA fan community that's more dangerous than a strike, more damaging than a lockout, and more permanent than a missed season. The fans are going silent. Not angry. Just gone. One of the most prominent WNBA content creators said this week, and I quote, "Covering the WNBA has become more like a chore than something enjoyable." She said she didn't know it would be 20% basketball and 80% reality TV show. And then she said this.
Let me know if there's a season. I would love to cover basketball. I would love to cover what all of these players are doing on the court. I guess you could say I'm a WNBA, NBA purist. Like, I firmly believe that WNBA basketball is the best basketball on the planet. I'm not interested in seeing a bunch of other things. Like, you can even talk about college basketball, incredible basketball, but if you want to watch every single game that South Carolina is playing, there's going to be some games that's a really close game and they have hard opponents on their schedule for maybe 5 or 6 games out of the regular season. The rest of the year, they're blowing out teams by 60. So if you want to talk about good competition every day on the court, it's the WNBA. That's where the best players are in the world. I don't want to cover Fenerbahce. I don't want to cover Breanna Stewart playing in Turkey. I want to cover Breanna Stewart playing for the New York Liberty. I want to cover Team USA basketball. Like, I want to cover the Olympics. I want to cover the WNBA All-Star. I want to cover what these players are doing on the court.
That's not a hater. That's a woman who dedicated her career to this league, telling her audience she's running out of reasons to care. When your most loyal advocates say, "Let me know if there's a season," you don't have a CBA problem. You have a survival problem. So where does this end? Here's the truth nobody wants to say. The WNBA won't lose this generation of fans because of a bad deal. They'll lose them because of the process, the memes, the missed meetings, the hypocrisy, the leaders who say, "Don't panic," then book flights to Turkey. My prediction, a deal will get done. But late, the season starts behind schedule. The players accept something closer to the league's terms because they have to. And the people who pay the biggest price won't be the Breanna Stewarts with Fenerbahce contracts. It'll be the minimum salary players who needed this union to fight for them and watched it post Instagram poems instead. The fans who drove 21,000 deep to Unrivaled in Philly. The ones who made Caitlin Clark the most watched player in women's basketball history. Some will come back. But not all. And the ones who won't leave because they hate the WNBA. They'll leave because they stopped caring. And that's the one thing you can't fix with a new CBA. Drop a comment, do you still care? Are you locked in, or has this process killed your excitement? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because the moment a deal drops or falls apart, we'll be here first with the full breakdown. No spin. No PR. Just receipts. I'll see you in the next one.